Hi, and welcome to yet another episode of Matcha Minutes, your 15-minute tech break with Women Go Tech. Today, we're joined by a special guest, a Lithuanian science journalist, Goda Raibytė-Aleksa, who is a passionate advocate for understanding science better, for women in STEM. So today's conversation is really interesting, really passionate, and Goda has so many great insights. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hi, welcome, Goda. Thank you for being here. First question I always ask, is it coffee, tea, or matcha for you?
Hey, coffee. I like different tastes of coffee. I have different rituals and procedures in the morning on how to prepare my coffee. I love the smell. I love the taste. So definitely.
That's the most common answer, actually.
Yeah, not original at all.
Yeah, but it's coffee. It makes sense. So you're a speaker, a journalist, a new book author. And in your work, congratulations on that. I've ordered one, but it didn't arrive yet. In your work, it's very interesting. You turn these complex subjects into narratives that are easy to understand for others. So the question is, what made you choose this line of work?
Because I grew up in a family of storytellers. I've been always telling stories as well. And when I was little, science and especially space exploration started fascinating me. You know, I grew up in a countryside. I call this pre-internet era because I got internet connection when I was 17 or 18. Before that, I had to stimulate somehow myself, and by exploring the nature, by watching stargazing and so on. And in my hometown, I told the story so many times. It may be boring, but in my hometown, our priest actually was very influential. And in 1997, Hale-Bopp's comet in the night sky, somehow he started threatening people that something bad is about to happen. But if you pray hard enough, long enough, God might save Lithuania. This is how he said it, because Lithuania is the land of Holy Mary, blah 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 blah. And no kindergartens in my hometown. So I was growing up. I was spending my days with my grandparents, and my grandparents were very religious. So they were afraid. I was afraid. I was praying instead of sleeping at night because I was afraid that this tiny dot in the sky with a shiny tail will destroy us, and I was going to die. So when I was a little older and I realized that somebody lied to me, instead of just watching and admiring this very amazing event, I was scared. Many adults were scared as well. And after realizing that, I started to understand we really need information. Now, so much information available on the internet. We don't have the skills, the tools, how to separate the information. Where's the misinformation? Where's the conspiracy theories? Where's the fake news? That's why so many people fall for these kinds of things. And little by little, I was working on my mission, why I'm doing this, why this is important to me. And now I think it's education, because I believe that educated people and informed people make better decisions than people who are not informed. I believe that to me this makes sense, and this helps me in my everyday life.
I think people respond to you, the way you present the information and the way you tell the story.
I receive death threats, so some people, most of the people, absolute majority of the society are nice people. They want to know. They are thankful for the information. There's still a tiny percentage of people, the margins, how I call them. They are very aggressive. I don't know why, because we have no studies in Lithuania. Scientists try to analyze why people do what they do. Anyways, people threaten me sometimes, and I had this involved a couple of times. Sometimes these people, they have children, and they say, "Oh, I will smash your head with something," or stuff like that. So it was another realization of mine. I realized that I want to spread the light. I want to spread knowledge and education. It's so nice, rainbows and so on. It's beautiful. Then I met these people who made me realize that, yes, we are very diverse. These people exist and they don't really like to be educated. They have, they have made the minds on false information, and they are angry on everything, and they are angry on me because I try to deny the information that they believe in.
Yeah, I think it's one of those biggest issues.
But it's a good thing that it's only a tiny percentage. Tiny. I know they're very loud, and sometimes it seems that there's so many of them. When you look at the big picture, turns out that it's just a teeny tiny percentage, and this gives hope.
That's for us too. I think for Women Go Tech, with work to educate more women that yes, you can go into tech or STEM, any science. I think media also plays a big role, and it's good to hear that still a majority of people take that information.
Yeah. Science for such a long time was biased towards men. Right? Technology was biased, and only recently we started realizing that there's half of the population in the world, a couple of billion people who don't have the same conditions. Maybe we should change it.
Yeah,
it's time.
Have any experience, after an event or I don't know, some taping? Women come to you and express a gratitude or just comment on your work that it helped them to realize something about their own journeys.
Sometimes it's women, sometimes it's others of young girls, for instance, because people need these kinds of role models. I may not be a role model myself. I know other scientists, and particularly also female scientists. But after recordings of shows or after my talks, I have people coming to me, and usually they try to tell me what I said wrong. It's men. It's
of course,
their comments are not very not constructive. Oh, you were holding your microphone not in a very correct way. I heard you, but still, next time know this. I wasn't listening to your entire presentation, but I have something to add to you. This comment always kills me. I wasn't here when you were talking, but I have a couple of comments for you, how you can improve yourself. It's weird, but usually people who come to me, they are nice.
Yeah. And, we're speaking now about people that are, let's say, your readers or your viewers, but did you have similar situations with, for example, scientists you interview, that you come as a young woman and, your stuff, and then they're like, oh, little girl, take a seat. Has there been some situations?
Actually, but again, in comparison, only a couple of times. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I encountered these kinds of people only a couple of times, so it's a good thing. Usually they are and professors, academics who think that because they are scientists of some particular narrow field, that they know everything about everything, basically. I do these trainings, science communication trainings for scientists, and sometimes kinds of people, academics, are at first very negative towards myself, also come to the seminars, and I see them sitting, with their faces being all, oh, what are you talking to me? I've been doing this job for 50 years and you're just you're just over 30 and you're just telling us how to do our job. And I try to explain them that science and science communication are two different things. And they are scientists, but they don't do science communication. And this is how we can exchange our knowledge, because they can provide me with content and I know how to tailor this content for different audiences, and I can share my experience. I have plenty of experience in this field. And sometimes I see this is changing after the seminar, that they are not so negative, that maybe they realize that, okay, maybe there's a thing or two that I can learn. But sometimes they just, stay the same, and it's up to them. I think scientists have to communicate to the public, because most of the scientific projects and studies, they are funded by taxpayers' money. So if you don't communicate what you do, so I think it's your duty. You're responsible for doing that. And of course, not every scientist has to do that, but sometimes it's really necessary to show the general public where you spend, money, basically.
That type of attitude, I think, and or fear of that attitude is often why women don't choose science, technology, and things like that. Do you have, in your opinion, any other reasons why women are still reluctant? Because the percentage of women in STEM is still way lower than men.
By the way, do you know that in Lithuania, have more women in STEM than male? We have around 8% of female researchers, and the rest are male researchers, of course. And first, this looks like a good trend, right? We have more female in the field than we have male. But you start tracking the trends, you see the same trend in every country where funding for science is lower, meaning that the salaries of scientists are lower. It means that male scientists sometimes after they finish their PhD and postdoc studies and so on, they stay in academia, while male scientists, they go into commercial sector and they work for different companies and so on. And as soon as this trend of science starts changing, we see more and more male, and we have more females in academia. But there is this very interesting research about male researchers. Many of them encounter harmful stereotypes every day while doing their job. It's 9 out of 10 Lithuania, who encounter stereotypes such as if you give birth, you're not viewed as a professional, or, it's your pesky hormones and you're not as logical, not such a good leader, and so on. And most of the scientific institutions are still led by male scientists, and Lithuanian Academy of Sciences is just a boys' club. Of course, sometimes I hear arguments from them. We welcome women to join us as well, but they don't do that. If they know that it's a boys' club, it's not encouraging to join, because there is no point. You know that you will be left behind, will not be in the circle of the boys' club, and this really discourages female scientists on going further. And I hear the story ask any female scientist in Lithuania, you will hear the same story of stereotypes that they encounter, of little comments coming from male partners and so on, coming towards the way of how it is sometimes more difficult to receive funding for their research, and if they win, let's say, some fellowship, like very important fellowship, how many negative comments they receive as well, and how it is difficult to prove that you're worth it. And again, one of the stereotypes that the female scientists usually encounter, it's that you have to provide more evidence of your expertise than male scientists. Because I don't know, maybe it's difficult to believe that a female scientist can be an amazing scientist and world-renowned scientist and so on. We have so many amazing female scientists, but if you listen to their stories, we just had an accident a couple of days ago where there was this biotechnology conference at the Lithuanian Academy of Sciences, and there were 2 female scientists talking about the problems of how to receive funding for your research. And there was this academic, male academic, who told them at first, "Oh, you're so beautiful, but it's so difficult. You should better find rich husbands so they will fund your research." There was like a scandal going on, and I know that the Academy of Science, they have some special seminar regarding this academic, but nobody believes that anything can change, because this is how many of them probably think. So you're just for the beauty, not for the content. It's like everyday life. I said, ask any female scientist, and you will hear so many stories, and sometimes it seems just, unfair. We live in a 2023, it's almost 2024. Stories are still the same that they were 20 years ago. You still hear the same comments, the same stories, like degrading comments and so on. So it's...
Do you think what would be the best way, to change it, even though it's 2024 and we hope could have been changed already, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, the things that have to change and what would you say, if someone's listening and considering either working in science or technology, like, I don't want to be treated that way, but, I want to do the work. So what would be your, advice maybe?
Education, because and there was like 2 months ago, there was this conference about gender balance in the Lithuanian academia, and surprise, only female academics and researchers and scientists attended this conference. We need every scientist to understand that diversity is important. The more diverse the team is, the stronger it is actually. So science started changing when women were allowed to do science as well. It's less biased now than it was, ages ago, and so on, because different people with different mindsets from different countries, from different backgrounds can do science, can expand the knowledge of humanity, and so on. And so education, because if do it only amongst women, no point, because most of the women understand the importance of diversity. We need dialogue, we need all in, we need everybody in. And I think publicity, being public with your worries and with accidents that you have, is also very important. And I know that this is difficult because it means that you may not receive funding, or you may not receive better lab positions or so on if you start, going to the journalist and telling your story. This is how things start changing. Women don't have to prove that they are good scientists. We have so many female scientists who are world-known international scientists contributing to the most amazing research. So they don't have to prove it, but we have to somehow change the mindset, and this can be done through education and through, if nothing is changing, then yes, go to a journalist and tell your story, and let the public know what's going on behind, the closed doors of your lab.
For the end, couple of lighter questions. Any current tech or tech that's still coming that you love using in your personal life or in your work? It can be a gadget, it can be a software or something.
ChatGPT, of course.
Yes.
I'm not original again, but it's such a powerful tool. And having in mind that it has all of the information that was, on the internet, every article, every book, like a really good tool to brainstorm with and ask questions or help generate ideas or so on. Usually it is said that journalists and writers are the first in line to lose their jobs because of artificial intelligence. That's why I try to learn how to use this tool, understand it better, how to write proper prompts, and want to get the best results. And ChatGPT is amazing. I encourage everyone to use it because it's here. Either learn how to use it or you are left behind.
Easy to be scared at the beginning, but it's not going anywhere, like you said.
But it's normal to be scared. Every time there's a new technology or innovation, people are scared, and shouldn't become those neo-Luddites, that every innovation that comes our way. We need innovation, we need technology, and it can really help us. Not try it.
Be polite when asking questions. Thank you.
And
please.
just, it's regulating artificial intelligence. It's also very important. That's why I'm happy that we live in a union and that the European Parliament is trying to regulate transparency of the companies who create artificial intelligence and so on. I'm just hopeful that it will work because, it's a very powerful tool. If we let it loose, we have to be cautious.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and the last question. Besides ChatGPT, when you need or want some inspiration, ideas, are there any podcasts or blogs or, newsletters that you look for?
It depends. Usually I inspire myself during research. I have a blog. I don't have any ideas. I start reading or listening to something because this is my profession. I can't tell to my clients, I will do this talk next month because I did not have an inspiration to prepare anything useful. So Carl Sagan always helps me. He is my most beloved communicator. He died a long time ago, but his books they somehow put everything in perspective, like the vastness of space and our role in cosmos and so on. I love Atheist Experience. There's this podcast, running for many years now. That was this guy called Matt Dillahunty. Now he left the podcast. So I like to listen, how people who are secularists, who are theists and atheists debate. I'm reading books. Basically, I stopped reading non-fiction books because maybe 10 years before that, I had only been reading fiction. Any, writer that I like or thinker, public intellectual publishes something, I have to read it. I read and read and read, and my brain just got very tired. I need some fiction in my life. I need to relax. I forget about ChatGPT, about artificial intelligence. I just read something, about ghosts or non-existent worlds, and the constant battle between the good and the evil, and I'm just like, oh yeah, my brain is like, thank you for that. So I've been reading only fiction books in 2023, but starting from next month I already have a list.
You've been piling it up all year. Now we have to catch up.
Yeah. But it was a good experiment. It really helped me to see things from a different perspective, and just have a little break. Sometimes having breaks from information, going to the nature and just, resting your brain basically is refreshing. It's amazing.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. So thank you so much for this very interesting conversation. Lithuanian listeners can go get your book because I think it's great that we have, female authors writing about science, let's see it once again. Yeah. Oh my God. I can't wait to read it. And anyone, who know you from Lithuania, they know where to follow you. And I think they follow you already on Instagram and everywhere else. So thanks once again for being with us.
Thank you.